for the vehicles, both on the record. Both champions of our respective conferences and both ranked the top 3 teams in America. The Gorillas of Pittsburgh State University, Pittsburgh Kansas, and the Bison of North Dakota State University. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I direct your attention to the northeast corner of the stadium. As the North Dakota State University
You are looking live at Dacotah Field in Fargo, North Dakota, where in just a few minutes, Pittsburgh State University, the third-ranked team in NCAA Division II, will be taking on the top-ranked North Dakota State University Bison. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Darren Prather. And before we get into the game, I want to do a couple of things real quick. You're enjoying this ball game in the comfort of your own home because of the generosity of a number of Pittsburgh State boosters. We really would like to thank them. Because of them, this special service is brought to you with limited commercial interruptions. I also would like to take this time out to thank the people of DII-TV here in Fargo, North Dakota, for helping us bring this ball game back to you back in Pittsburgh. It's a balmy 20 degrees. The wind is out of the west at between 15 and 20 miles an hour. And according to the locals here, this is excellent football condition, and one of those guys is going to join us for the entire ball game. His name is Mark Cyril. He's a former North Dakota State University quarterback, graduated in 1980. Mark, thanks for helping us out. You can see, obviously, who's from Pittsburgh and who's from North Dakota State. I'm sitting here all bundled up, but this is great football weather for you guys up here, am I right?
It really is. December 1st, you could have 4 or 5 foot snowbanks on the sidelines, which has happened in the past, but it is a beautiful day. A little breezy out of the west, but I don't think that's going to affect the game at all.
You know, we introduced everybody last night at 6 o'clock to the great home field advantage you're working with right here. What was it like when you got a chance to play back in 1980?
Well, the field advantage was, the home field advantage was here then, too. We got great fans up here in Fargo, and it's just a great place to play, good facilities, and excellent coaches, and it's a tradition that's been going on for quite a few years.
And as you can hear behind me, there's also some excellent fan support from the fans that are here. They're expecting between 10 to 12,000 people here for this ball game. And when we come back right after this break, we will bring you this ball game live from Fargo, North Dakota. Stay with us. Welcome back to Fargo, North Dakota, where the captains of the North Dakota State Bison and Pittsburgh State University are about ready to converge on midfield for the coin toss to see who's going to be the first one to get a chance at opening this ball game. before we take you too much further, we have a halftime score to pass along from the other semifinal ball game that's now going on in Clinton, Mississippi. Indiana, Pennsylvania jumped out to a 7-2 lead on Mississippi College. However, Mississippi College has come back and is now up by the score of 8-7 at intermission. We are set for an awesome ball game here in Fargo, North Dakota. Now let's go down live to the midfield where the coin toss will be conducted by the head referee.
Cut across the knee, this is the Pittsburgh State. Number 7, if you'll come forward, captain number 21. This is a silver dollar, this is head, this is tail. I'll flip it, Pittsburgh, you call it in the air. He called it head. We have head. You have one to call, Pittsburgh. They want to call. You may kick, you may receive, or you may defend the goal. I'll pick the rock. Pardon me? I'll take the ball. Take the ball. They want to receive. You line up over here.
There you have it. Pittsburgh State University has won the coin toss and has elected to defer to the second half. Nothing unusual for Chuck Broyles there. He oftentimes likes to come out of the locker room and see what he can do about marching the ball downfield and getting on the board. Of course, you never know what might happen in this instance, but this is going to be an interesting ball game. Mark, we talked a lot during the pregame show a little while ago about how great this North Dakota State ball team is, compared it nationally as far as the statistics are concerned. But as I also mentioned, Pittsburgh State ranks up there right along with them.
Well, as I was looking through statistics earlier in the day and reading articles earlier this week, these teams are very similar in their production as far as offense and defense. They're both ranked up there high in offensive categories as well as defense. Probably not as high toward the top in defense from either team, but offensively, they're very similar teams. They have North Dakota State has Chris Simdorn and Tony Satter and Marty C. as far as their key runners, and Pittsburgh State has Moore and Dawson as their leading ball carriers, and their statistics are very similar.
It's kind of interesting that North Dakota State has elected to take the ball but go into the win in the first quarter.
Well, they like to take the ball a lot. They want to get their offense out there and try and establish something right away. With Pittsburgh deferring to the second half, there's too many decisions sometimes down there to make. Referees go back and forth. Who does this? Who does that?
Right.
So, they've got the win the first quarter, and that really doesn't affect the Bison. This isn't a very strong win for North Dakota. Sometimes we can get, last week, for an example, it was up around 30 miles an hour. And we just are used to that type of weather up here, and I don't think that affects the Bison. They don't throw the ball that much, so I don't think it's going to be much of a factor at all today.
Marty Satter, or rather Tony Satter, is back in the around his goal line to be receiving the kickoff from James Jenkins. As you can see, Satter has been very productive on the opening kick. Settle back in your seats, everyone, because here we go in Fargo, North Dakota. James Jenkins booting it into about the 5-yard line. Tony Satter with the reception takes it to the 20-yard line, up the middle where he is finally brought down. That was Jamie Goodson making the stop there for Pittsburgh. Here is the offense then you'll be seeing today. Number 10, it starts with the quarterback. Chris Sindor found out today he was one of the 3 finalists. He will be in Mississippi, or rather in Florence, Alabama next week as one of the 3 finalists for the Harlan Hill Trophy. Tony Satter, the running back. Marty C., another running back. Sean Cahill and Craig Guerin and Don Gettle is the tight end. Satter, of course, rushing for over 1,200 yards this season. And here's the first play from scrimmage. Sindorn gets the snap and elects to hold on to himself. Right there. Phil McCoy is able to bust through the line and immediately make an impact on this football team. Here's the Pittsburgh State defense. As you see, number 95, Phil McCoy, has been doing it all season long. Troy Wilson, the other defensive end. As far as the linebackers are concerned, you might want to keep an eye out on Shane Tafoya and Eric Thomas. And, of course, the head coach for the North Dakota State Bison is terribly concerned with the speed in the Pittsburgh State defensive backfield. It'll really come down, I think, to number 21, Ira McMillan, and his ability to contain the quarterback. Here we go again. This is Sindorn under center. It appears you're going to have a delay of game penalty right off the bat. This has got to be already upsetting the nerves for the North Dakota State Bison, but listen, folks, this team is tough. I'm sure this isn't going to set them back too far.
Well, North Dakota State runs a lot of plays and calls a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage. Rocky Hager, their head coach, sends in a formation and a series of plays that Simdorn can call at the line of scrimmage. And they've had some problems with running that 24-second clock down right to the wire, and that time they got caught.
All right, we're looking at a second down and 17 yards to go here. Simdorn again and he picks it right back up the middle. Tony Satter on the carry. A gain of only a couple of yards.
So far for Pittsburgh State, this is a good defensive stand to stop the outside option dive play right away on the first play and come back and snuff out the dive up the middle to Tony Satter. So it's a big play right now for North Dakota State.
I'm wondering if Coach Hager is regretting now having taken the ball and going into the wind because they don't really have a passing game. They've got 14 yards to go for a first down, and if they have to punt the ball away, they will be putting into that 20-mile-an-hour wind. Here we go, big play right off the bat for the Pittsburgh State defense. Chris Simdorn under center. He likes to hold on to the ball himself. The pitch out is to Tony Satter. He makes one tackle. He misses another, and he's got the first down and plenty more. He's out to around the 48-yard line. A big offensive play for the North Dakota State.
Well, that's what North Dakota State does best. They run the option. Here we see the option coming down. Simdorn going to his right, pitches back to Satter, gets a great block out in front by Marty C. Cuts inside, cuts it back to the middle, and gets a great gain out of it. Good run by Tony Satter and good downfield blocking by the Bison.
Well, you know, we mentioned about how Coach Hager was concerned about the defensive back speed, but if they're the ones that have to run down the running back, especially from behind, it certainly isn't good for Pittsburgh State. We have a timeout on the field right now, and this isn't good either. Believe me, Ira McMillan is hobbling off the field. It doesn't appear that he's too terribly shaken up. You see he's with the head trainer there, Al Ortolani. It looks like he's going to be all right, though, and then be able to come back in the ballgame. But you really can't say enough about that last play right there for North Dakota State. That obviously is what has them #1 ranked in the country.
Well, that's their third down offense. They don't throw the ball a lot, but they get those big plays to pick up the first down.
All right, we've got a first down here at the 46-yard line for North Dakota State. The handoff right over the middle to Marty C., number 32, and he picks up a good gain with about 8 yards. This crowd really lights up the football field.
That's the home field advantage that North Dakota State has here. They got great fans, great support from this community, and not just Fargo Moorhead. It's the surrounding area, Detroit Lakes, Grand Forks even, to get some people. All around the area. There's a lot of kids from North Dakota that play on the Bison team, and they get that fan support from their hometown.
Looks like Pittsburgh State also a great fan turnout for them today. Over at least 250 people dressed in red and cheering on their gorillas. Right now they're facing a second down and 2 situations right here. Tony, that handoff there is, that stays with Simdorn. He picks up the first down, no problem. That's a gain of about 6 yards, and North Dakota State is on the move. Might point out last week, Cal Poly was the first person to get the ball. They had to punt into that wind and got it out on about the 2-yard line. North Dakota State went from there 98 yards for the first score of the ball game.
They've got a lot of patience on offense. You can see that Simdorn on the year has rushed for 941 yards and 19 touchdowns on the year, and he's a big part of North Dakota State's offense.
Of course, the Harlan Hill Award is Division II's equivalent to the Heisman Trophy, so that is quite an honor for this senior right there. Here's the snap right here. This is Simdorn on the, and it hands it off there up to Tony Satter up the middle. That's a gain of about 5 yards right there, so they're moving the ball on him right now.
Well, the offensive line is getting a good surge off the ball. Their right guard and right tackle on that play fired off the line and opened the hole for Satter. He doesn't need much of a team. We talked earlier before the game started that Tony Satter has really developed into an all-around running back, both inside and outside.
I also want to point out that Ira McMillan is, of course, back in the ball game. He only sat out that one play, so he apparently is all right. We're looking at a second down and 6 situation right now. Simdorn under center. Nice brush in there by Phil McCoy, but he got it out, and it's out now to number 30 for North Dakota State. Finally hauled down by number 42, Derek Blackburn of the Pittsburgh State Gorillas, but out for a great run right there by Mark Hansen.
Here we see the replay, Derek. Simdorn comes down the line, reverse pivots, and then comes down and pitches it to Mark Hansen. Hansen's got good speed, gets to the outside, got some great blocks inside, and he breaks it up the middle and gets a good gain out of it, picks up another first down.
Hansen, you're going to hear hear a lot of that last name today because there's another Hanson that plays for North Dakota State. His name is Bill Hanson, big number 90, and he is an awesome defensive end for him. Right now, though, there's no relation in these two guys, although they both are excellent athletes. This is Sindorn on the first down, hands it off up the middle to Tony Satter. He picks up only a couple of yards. Mark, all season long, the Pittsburgh State defense has been one of those bend but not break affairs. And to point out another interesting stat here is the fact that they have trailed in both of their playoff games already this year and managed to come back and win.
Well, that's a great statement to make for the Pittsburgh State offense. If their defense also, a bend but not break philosophy is also what North Dakota State has, and that's what you got to have. If you give up the yards, as long as they don't get in the end zone, that's what counts.
Gain of 3 on that last play, second down and 7 for North Dakota State. This team will not go to the air, folks. This is another run here. This is Sindorn on the carry, and that's exactly what makes him so tough, is his ability to get outside. Not this time. Shane McCoy right there to make the stop for the Gorillas.
And that's what you have to do as a defense to stop that option offense. You have to get your linebackers scraping outside to pick up that quarterback. That time one of the Bison backs missed the block on the linebacker inside, and he was able to scrape out and pick up Sindorn for the loss, or for the short gain, rather.
For the short gain he picked up, well, actually he didn't pick up any yardage at all. We're still at third down and 7. The fans back on their feet. We're getting the first taste of what is expected to be an outstanding ball game right now. Sindorn walking away is calling a timeout, so we've got to stop on the field. We're going to stop here for a short break with the score 0-0 in Fargo, North Dakota. We've got 9:14 to play in the first quarter. The score, there is no score. However, North Dakota State is driving. They have the ball on the Gorillas' 20 or 15-yard line and facing a third down and 7 situation. Their second third and long situation of the ball game. They picked up about 20 yards in the last one, though, so let's see what happens here. This is Sindorn under center again. Waiting for the snap, and he pitches it out right there to Tony Satter, number 26, and he does not get the first down. So the Gorillas defense has held right here. However, believe this, because North Dakota State is very confident in their offensive ability to pick up first down. I wouldn't be at all surprised right here to see Coach Hager decide to go for it on fourth down.
Well, they're going against the wind, and their kicking game is not that strong. Dave Bowden is their place kicker, and he's a straight-on kicker, and he's not that strong a leg. So they're going to go for it here. And that last play, going back to that last play, Darren, McCoy, number 95, has been messing things up. He's been getting penetration, and that's hindering North Dakota State's offense.
Fourth down and 5 for the North Dakota State Bison from the Pitt State 15-yard line. Key situation early in the ball game. Sindorn with the carry, and he pitches it out to number 26, Coach Satter, who again picks up the first down before being shoved out on the Gorilla 4-yard line.
Good execution that time by North Dakota State on both Chris Sindorn. You can see him coming down the line of scrimmage, looking for that defensive end, takes it to him to the last second, gets the pitch just before he gets nailed. Satter cuts it up and gets a good gain down to about the 3-yard line. First and goal for North Dakota State. Good play, good execution.
This is where it gets interesting. First down situation from the Gorillas' 3-yard line. Again, don't forget that East Texas State took the opening kick and drove on Pittsburgh State and scored eventually and went up 7-0. But of course, Pitt State had no problems coming back after that. This is Sindorn on the deep. The deep line the end zone and stuff like that. North Dakota State up 6-0.
That's what they do best. They bring Sindorn down the line of scrimmage and let him look for a seam. He got a good block inside that time by Mark Hansen, number 30. kick the defensive back to the outside. Simdorn cut up inside of him. Here we can see it. Coming down the line, there's number 4 going out for the pitch man. Simdorn comes up. There's Mark Hansen with the block on Ira McMillan, bringing Simdorn into the end zone.
Well, I tell you what, Pittsburgh State fans have got to look at Chris Simdorn, and if Gene Stegeman, the former Pitt State quarterback, doesn't come to mind, I don't know who would. You say now Dave Bowden's in for the extra point. Make it a 7-0 ball game. The snap's down and kicks up, and it is good. Pittsburgh State is now down by the score of 7-0. We've got a break in play, and that is your score with the Bison leading 7-0. Chris Simdorn, the Bison's Harlan Hill candidate, putting the Bison up by the score of 7-0 early in the ball game.
12 plays, 73-yard drive. Simdorn capping it off with a 3-yard touchdown run.
Took 7 minutes for that play. This gives the Pittsburgh State defense their first opportunity, of course, to take the field.
Well, excuse me, Darren, one of North Dakota State's biggest advantages so far this year has been ball control. You can see they took 7 minutes off the clock on that drive, and if they can keep the other team's offense off the field, they can't score.
Here's the kickoff. Now, this is something you'll see probably all afternoon. These guys do not really kick in the air very often. This is Mr. Ronald Moore on the return right there, and Ronald gives it back almost to the 50-yard line. Ronald, of course, one of the short backs for the Gorillas, but it appears there is a flag on the ground.
Take a look at Pittsburgh State's offensive backs. You got to watch Ron Moore and Darren Dawson. Those are the two explosive ones. And the other one is Ronnie West, the wide receiver.
Face mask penalty against North Dakota State is going to add a couple more yards to that return for Ronald Moore. Of course, North Dakota State, they know what Ron West can do with the football when they get it. But to be very honest, you'll see that swift kick most of the afternoon. They seldom kick the ball in the air. Okay, here we go. The Gorillas' first offensive play from first series offensive play. This is Jay Patton with the ball. He just elects to hold on to it, goes down the line, where he's able to turn it upfield before being pulled down from behind by number 39 in the North Dakota State Bison.
Take a look at the defensive line. The guy to watch is number 90, Phil Hansen. Defensive tackle is about 6'5", 255. He's the one to watch. Linebackers, that time we saw Rob Greenwood come up from behind to make the play, and Todd Wash is another one to watch. Kenny Clark, free safety number 7. He's the guy that makes things happen. He's the quarterback back there on defense.
Got Ron Moore and Darren Dawson in the backfield. Ron West split wide left. Jay Patton with the ball, gets it out to Ron Moore, and he is almost stopped in the backfield before being able to break a couple tackles and bring it out to about a yard short of the first down. Ron Moore once again showing why he is so terribly explosive, especially when you get him on the outside.
Well, Ron Moore is 6 feet, 205 pounds, and there you can see why he's got the number of yards that he's got. 1,167 yards rushing on the year, and that time a couple of Bison had a shot at him, and Phil Hansen had to finally knock him out short of the first down.
The North Dakota State home field advantage is now coming to become a part of this ball game. 3rd down and 3 for the Gorillas. Jay Patton hands it off to Darren Dawson up the middle, and he's got the first down, it appears.
Straight ahead dive play, and Rob Greenwood again comes up from his inside linebacker play. Here we can see Patton stepping back, handing off to Dawson, and Greenwood comes up and puts the hit on him, but not soon enough. First down for Pitt State.
Well, that is a big mental lift for the Pittsburgh State offense, no question about it. Last week, you recall, they were able to take the kickoff after the first score by East Texas State and in just a matter of minutes get it in the end zone. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Jay Patton now decide to go to the air and hit Ron West coming across the middle. Gorillas, flag on the play.
Illegal procedure that time. The Gorillas sent Dawson in motion to the offensive right, and their tight end looked like he lost his balance and got going a little bit early and jumped offside. Illegal procedure, 5-yard penalty.
That's exactly what this fan noise will do, though, especially when you get somebody out on the way out on the flat like that. Very, very difficult to hear anybody. And they have an airport located just right nearby where the National Guard has its reserve unit headquartered. And when those fighter jets come in, boy, I tell you what, it is deafening. Again, Ron West is split wide right. This is the handoff here to Ron Moore up the middle. Moore breaks a couple more tackles, gets it back to the original line of scrimmage, it appears, where the Gorillas will be at about the 35-yard line of North Dakota State.
Here we see Patton come back, drop off the draw play to Moore that time, and he makes a nice cut inside, and Bison stops it for a 5-yard gain. That's a good gain on first down. Too bad it was after the penalty, so they're back to the line of scrimmage, 2nd down and 10.
Jerry Kill mentioned to me before the ball game started, the offensive coordinator of the Gorillas said that if they are going to throw the ball, it'll have to come in the first 3 downs because of the fact these guys are good when they know what's coming, and he does just that. Get it to now off to Ron West, who makes an outstanding catch, staying in bounds to pick up another gain of about 8 yards for the Gorillas, who now have 3rd down and about 3 yards to go from the North Dakota State 23-yard line.
Here we see the receiver coming down the field and makes a good cut. Tommy Adams there for the Bison on the defense. And the receiver West gets to the outside, and you can see what he's been doing for the year on his statistics there. And West makes a nice catch and gets out of bounds. Short of the first down, but brings up 3rd and short.
This is definitely 4th down territory for the Gorillas. Jake Hutton under center. He's got Ron Moore, and Ron Moore gets the ball. A nice move over to the middle to easily pick up the first down for the Gorillas, who now have the ball 1st and 10 from the North Dakota State 21-yard line. The Gorillas are on the move.
Here's the replay coming into Moore, and cuts all the way back against the defense. And against a defense like North Dakota State that pursues a lot, that's the type of move that you have to make. You have to cut back against them, against the grain, and get the motion going one way, and the players or the ball coming back the other way.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you weren't able to join us for the Coach Broyle Show, you'll see that 29 consecutive quarters where the North Dakota State defense was able to keep the opposing team out of the end zone by rushing the football, and that is just an awesome statistic. You figure that's over 7 ball games. Ron Moore got the carry there, was able to pick up 5 yards. I've got a feeling that is one statistic that definitely is going down the tubes today.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. You talked about Pittsburgh State's bend but don't break philosophy. The Bison have the same situation, and they haven't given up that many touchdowns over the course of the last 7-8 games either, and most of those have been in the air. So we'll just have to wait and see, Darren.
Gain of 4 yards for Ron Moore. This is 2nd down and 6 for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. The throw is over to Darren Dawson, split right left. That is something you won't see very often from the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. Dawson, I think, is one of the best receivers in the game, but they don't really need him when you got Ron West out there.
Well, Patton just took about 2 steps off the line of scrimmage that time and just lofted it out to Dawson, and he just was able to pick up the first down. Good play.
It was a great play. It picked up the first down for the Gorillas. They now have 1st and goal from about the 9-yard line, let's call it about 9 3/4-yard line for the North Dakota State Bison. Jay Patton under center. Ron West split wide right once again. Jay basically goes hit himself and picks up 5 yards for the Gorillas. You know, we talked a lot about how you have to respect Chris Sindorn, and somebody definitely has to key on the NDSU quarterback. But Jay Patton is a winner out there. There's no question about it. And he shows once again why he is one of the best in Division II.
Well, you can see Patton reverse pivoting and coming down the line of scrimmage, and he's a little tentative on that. I don't think he really likes to carry the ball a lot, but he will if he has to. And I think North Dakota State's defensive philosophy is going to make them carry the ball today.
Okay, we have a 2nd down and 5 for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas from the North Dakota State 5-yard line. Patton looks back and he's got Jody Truitt. Oh, that's almost makes the catch. Jody Truitt is one of the best receivers in the ball game right there, folks. He is a prototype tight end, and he doesn't miss very often. That ball just a little overthrown, but that was just about the only place Patton could put it.
Well, you see Patton coming out of center, faking to his offensive right, comes back and steps back, and just overthrows Truitt just outside of his hands, and Carlos Miles was there, sort of there, for the Bison on the coverage.
3rd down and 5 for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. Ron West outside left. Darren Dawson and Ron Moore in the backfield. West in motion. Pat fakes the handoff and has to throw it away. Great pressure there by number 30, or 86 rather, of the North Dakota State Bison.
Dick Punzak on the pressure that time, coming from his nose tackle position. Here we see Patton coming out, faking to Dawson inside, rolling out to his right, and the Bison have got good coverage. Punzak, you can see coming up, he puts the hit right on Patton just as he releases the ball. Patton played it smart, threw the ball away to avoid the turnover.
Well, I tell you what, you weren't just kidding. When it gets down to the nitty-gritty, these guys are tough. This is James Jenkins in for the Gorillas to attempt the field goal for Pittsburgh State. Snaps back a little high. Jenkins gets it away, though, and it is dead money. A 7-3, Pittsburgh trailing by a score of 7-3. We've got a break in the action with North Dakota State up by the 3%. James Jenkins' 22-yard field goal has gotten the Gorillas on the board, but you have to think here, Mark, that they definitely would have liked to see the 7.
Well, I think they would have, and the interesting point about that, Darren, is that they came down there on the 5-yard line, and the reputation of Bison not having allowed a rushing touchdown for 29 quarters, did that affect their play calling? Why did they throw the ball twice? That's an interesting question, and maybe I have to ask the coach a little later.
This is James Jenkins on the kick. He has it deep and into the end zone where it will not be returned. He thought about it, didn't he? It'll be coming out to the 20-yard line for North Dakota State. Now, that is one play that Pittsburgh State does run very well, though. Getting the tight end out of the backfield like that or off the line and being able to toss it over to him does work. But they were really stacked up there at the goal.
Well, it could be that they thought they could beat him on that they've seen some tendencies, and that's a good play to run once, but the second pass coming back, I guess your third down, you got to try and get in the end zone, and you're a little ways away. Maybe that's the reasoning. I guess we'll just have to speculate a little bit.
All right, let's speculate. Keep an eye on big number 95 for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. Immediately following the second possession of the opposing team in the playoff, he came through with a big sack and fumble for the Gorillas, which got them great field position. Not this time. A quick handoff over to the right of Marty C. He picks up a couple of yards. We're about 3.5 minutes away from that consecutive streak going to 30 quarters for the North Dakota State Bison. That is an awesome statistic.
That's a lot of quarters, and you can see that the Bison over the year have scored. The first quarter has been their weak quarter as far as scoring is concerned, and it's been the big quarter for Pittsburgh. So far the Bison are winning that battle.
All right, here we go again. Chris Sindorn gets the second down ball right here. He throws the football. That is going to be something you won't see very often this afternoon.
But when you do, that's the type of pattern or pass that you're going to see. You're going to see the action that looks like the option, and you can see Sindorn comes down the line of scrimmage to his left. Looks like it's going to be that option play. Just steps up, hits T.R. McDonald right in the seam, and picks up about 7 yards for third down, bringing up third down and short.
Now, if I seemed a little surprised when I saw him throw that football, it's because they only threw 4 times last week against Cal Poly. Only completed 1 pass, so this team would prefer to keep the ball on the ground. They're very good at it. Chris Sindorn back under quarterback. The fans are on their feet. And the handoff is right up the middle. It appears the North Dakota State Bison have been stopped short at the first down.
That was the replay here. Sindorn comes down, hands it off to Satter, and Michael Rose, number 44, comes in from his defensive end. spot and puts Satter to the ground in a hurry and stops him short of the first down, bringing up fourth down for the Bison.
North Dakota State is forced to punt the football away. Tony Satter is the punter for the Bison. He, of course, is their key running back. A lot of these players will do quite a few things on the field. In fact, their defensive end, the guy we were talking about earlier, Bill Hansen, is a deep snapper, and the snap is high. Almost picked off there by Michael Wilbur, but the ball caught up in the wind and bounces out on the Pittsburgh State 48-yard line. So the Gorillas get the ball in fantastic field position.
Well, Tony Satter did a good job of going up high to catch that ball and get rid of it. Pittsburgh State had 10 guys up on the line of scrimmage. We can see it here. And here's Satter getting off the ground to get that snap. And he's got a lot of pressure, gets rid of it, gets the best punt possible out of that type of situation. Earlier in the year, North Dakota State had a couple of instances where the ball was snapped over the punter's head. And that's a little bit of a concern for the Bison and Bison coaches.
You get an idea of just how windy it is, not only because of the way that punt held up in the air like that, but the ball started rolling away off the football field right there. Actually, for what it can be here, this is a beautiful day here in Fargo, North Dakota. Jake Patton looks the pass. He's got Jody, or rather Brian Sinamani open, but he's going to Ron West. West with the reception on the 5-yard line for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas.
Good play call that time by Pittsburgh State. Come out right after the Bison on the first play. Play action fake. Patton goes to his left and throws it back to his right to West over the middle. The ball's coming right into your living room. West goes up and catches the ball. That's his second reception on the day for 55 yards. Brings him down at the 5-yard line with Pat Pringle on the coverage.
We've got a 1 minute and 11 seconds left in the first quarter. Let's see if we can end that consecutive streak. No, not this time. That is big number 97, the outside linebacker for the North Dakota State Bison. You will hear a lot of him today. His name is Todd Watt, and he came through the line apparently without anybody touching him right there to wrap up Jake Patton. So the Gorillas lose 3 or 4 yards on that play right there to set up a second down and 8, or a second down and goal, for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas.
Well, most of the year people have talked about Phil Hansen, and Todd Wash is the other guy on that defensive line and has had a great year for North Dakota State.
Boy, it appears this North Dakota State defense just really gets tough here towards the goal line. Again, Jay Patton with the reverse option. He tries to turn it back upfield, but isn't able to pick up a whole lot. About 2 yards. That'll set up a third down situation and about 6 yards to go for the score.
Again, the reverse action out of Patton coming down the line of scrimmage for the option, and Todd Wash that time played him a little soft and went out to the pitch, and Rob Greenwood came out from his inside linebacking position and stopped him short, brings up third down and goal from about the 7.
North Dakota State has not given up a rushing touchdown now in 30 quarters. They lead the Gorillas with a break-in action 7-3 after 1. We are going to start the second quarter now with Pittsburgh State facing a third down and 7 situation from the 7-yard line of the North Dakota State Bison.
And you can see the total offense so far in the first quarter. NDSU had 88 yards to Pittsburgh State's 87. Pretty even.
Well, I tell you what, we talked about how evenly matched these two teams are, and they are certainly showing it, aren't they? The Gorillas are now going to try to take it in and get it on top. Right now, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Pittsburgh State try to do something across the middle to one of their tight ends. James Patton gets on the center. It appears he's got Ron Moore, and that is Darren Dawson in motion right there. He is going to throw the ball, but he's got a big rush and a fumble. Somebody's going to need to get back there. That's going to go for a sack right there. They're going to call the play dead.
Holy cow. here we see the replay's going to be coming up. Pass coming out of center, drops to his left, and Tony Monty coming from the backside, number 42, puts a crunch on him. That was close to being a fumble, folks.
That really was. Jay Patton didn't see him coming at all. In fact, that isn't even going to go for a sack. They're going to rule that an incomplete pass. That brings on James Jenkins to attempt a field goal. They're going to spot the ball at about the 14-yard line. We're talking about a 24-yard field goal. Believe me, this is the win, so this is not going to be a chip shot by any means. James Jenkins has been one of the most improved players on the Pittsburgh State team all season long, and he's been showing us all along. The snap is a good one. It's over. It's up, and it hits the cross right and bounces into the cross right for the score right there. So Pittsburgh State has climbed to back within 1 point of the Bison.
Here we see the field goal attempt, and snap comes back. The kick goes up. It's a wobbly kick, and you can see it coming at you. Hits the left upright and bounces in between the goals for the field goal.
So Pittsburgh State has a break, and we're going to take a break with the score: North Dakota State 7 and Pittsburgh State 6.
I'll break down.
With 14:51 left to go in the second half, Pittsburgh State has climbed to within 1 point of the North Dakota State Bison on a pair of James Jenkins field goals. The last one coming from 24 yards away, to make it a 7-6 ball game right now for North Dakota State. And let me tell you, folks, the cold weather here is something these people are used to up here, but my good buddy Mark Spurl has decided to break down and put on his toots, and now I don't feel so bad.
Well, I told you, I'm not stupid, Darren. I'm smart enough to know when to put my coat on.
It is definitely getting chilly, and believe me, when it gets cold here and a cold front moves through, it can change drastically.
Well, they say about North Dakota, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. It'll change.
Well, they say that in Missouri, but fortunately it changes for the better most of the time. James Jenkins with a kick at the low one. It has to be because of the wind blowing right there. It's fielded on the 20-yard line. The ball is taken up the middle. It's a nice return, and it sets North Dakota State up for the first down on the Pittsburgh State on their 32-yard line.
That was Mark Hansen on that kickoff return, picked it up on the squib kick and got positive yardage, good yardage, back up to about the 37-yard line rather, North Dakota State. And now they're going to see what they're going to do.
No, that really was, for the wind that's blowing in that direction, that's about as good as you're going to have to kick off into that wind like that. That's kind of field position right there.
Well, the other thing about this is it tends to swirl when you get down closer to the field house down here on the east end.
You used to throw the ball when you were back here in 1980. I imagine that was really interesting then. This is Sindorn. He pitches it out to Tony Satter. He makes a nice cut up the middle and makes a big gain right there. Finally brought down at the 42-yard line of the Pittsburgh State Gorillas by Darrell Wren. Boy, is he fast.
He's got some quickness here. We can see it. Sindorn comes out, fakes into Marty C, and just gets rid of it in a hurry. He had a pressure on the outside. Satter puts on a move that time. Just gives him a little fake, cuts back up the middle, has some good downfield blocking, and an excellent gain again by Tony Satter.
Yeah, as we mentioned, there was Coach Hager rather pointed out those defensive backs are quick, but they got to nail him from behind like that. That's not good for the Gorillas.
So far on the day, Tony Satter has 70 yards rushing for the North Dakota State.
70 yards rushing.
70 yards.
Whoa, that's not too bad. We're not even a minute into the second quarter yet. That give is going nowhere, though. Defensive end, the line just came right through. Got a lot of run support right there from the linebacker, Shane DeVoya.
Here we can see Simdorn coming out and giving it to Kurt Gunning that time. And that time the linebacker, number 59, Shane Sequoia, he steps up and fills the hole on that dive play. And that's what the Bison want. They want that guy stepping up to fill that gap, to stop that dive, so they're going to pull it out and go to the option, get those big plays.
It appears they're almost even letting those defensive ends into the backfield there just to make it interesting so that he can get the pitch off right there, because I've seen Phil McCoy back there a couple of times. He wasn't able to do it, and there again, Phil McCoy gets the quarterback, but he's not able to do it. This time it's Tafoya again with an outstanding stop behind the line of scrimmage. They're going to lose about 3 yards on that play, and it's going to set up a 3rd down and about a 13-yard situation.
Well, that's the way you have to stop that veer offense. You got to send your defensive end or outside linebacker down and try and shut that down, make the quarterback pull it out, and then scrape your linebacker out there to pick up the quarterback or take out the dive or the option back or whoever he can get. And he's the guy that's key in this defense to stop the veer offense.
A big play here with 13 minutes to go in the first half. A 3rd down and 12 situation for the North Dakota State Bison. Chris Sindorn gets the snap right there. He's going to pass it, and he's complete over the middle to the 28-yard line of the Pittsburgh State Gorillas.
Down the line option pass again. That's North Dakota State's forte when they do pass the ball. You don't ever see him, or very rarely see him, drop off the line of scrimmage. Sindorn comes down the line of scrimmage and just pulls up and again hits T.R. McDonald on that little release pass into the seam of the zone. Picks up the 1st down. Another big play on 3rd down for North Dakota State.
So Sindorn now 2 for 2 in the passing category. This guy only threw 4 passes all last week, and he's already got half of those right now.
Well, when they throw, it's effective.
Yeah, well, when you have to play the run like that, it certainly opens things up, as everybody knows, for Pittsburgh State. But again, the defensive line comes through for Pittsburgh State. That is Eric Thomas, number 40 for the Gorillas on the stop. Michael Rose also involved in the action.
Thomas put a good hit that time on Marty C. He came up from his linebacker position, and you can see it here. C comes right up the middle, and here comes Thomas. Sheds off a block by North Dakota State's number 73 that time, which is, I'm not sure who that is. Let me find that here.
Number 73 is
not
Doug
one of their
Van
starters.
Right.
And I'm sorry, it's Doug Van Meter, and he bounced off that block and came up and made the stop on Marty C.
Okay, here we go now. 2nd down and about 8 yards to go for the Bison at the Gorillas' 24-yard line. Sindorn hands it off up the middle to Marty.
Kurt Gunning on that carry.
Kurt Gunning. Well, they've got an entire stable of running backs over there on their sidelines.
Well, that's who they shuffle their plays in. When they do send them in from the sidelines, they run them in with their running backs. And they get a lot of, there's a couple of things that helps. It helps keep the running backs fresh and get more people involved, and they all have different running styles too. Some of them are inside runners more so than outside runners, blockers, so there's a lot of variety there. And that's how they keep their backs fresh and get the plays into the game.
3rd down and 2 from the Pittsburgh State 17-yard line. The fans on their feet. This is without question 4th down territory, so it's going to be up to the Gorillas to hold them off right now. And Sindorn appears to be a little short of the 1st down.
Depends on the spot, whether it's the right hand or right foot or left foot. They are short. Looks like they're stopped on about the 16-yard line, about a half a yard short.
What do you think?
They're going for it. There's no question.
I didn't think there would be. This is a confident grip. You know, Chuck Broyles has told us all along that if the Pittsburgh State offense is within the other team's 50-yard line, they're probably going to go for it and believe that these guys aren't going to be any different.
Well, the officials are going to call for a measurement here. And Darren, you say that Pittsburgh State's got a lot of confidence in their offense. The Bison also have a lot of confidence in their offense. And we talked this morning that if they do have 4th down and short, they're not going to sneak it up the middle. They're usually going to go off tackle with the quarterback generally and find that seam and let him try and pop something.
There you see it, about a football distance short of the 1st down. No question in anybody's mind that these guys are going for it. Again, the fans on their feet. This is a great show of support by the North Dakota State football fans up here in Fargo.
You watch the linebackers for Pittsburgh State. If they start sneaking up inside, Sindorn's going off tackle to his left.
You got Satter in the backfield. Sindorn elects to take it himself, and he picks up the 1st down with no problem before he's finally stopped by Ira McMillan, number 21. Appreciation of the Gorillas.
Well, he went off tackle to the right that time. I guess I had my directions mixed up, but that's what they do. They stay away from that inside stuff, and you can see Sindorn coming down here, just taking a look, finds the seam, and puts his head down, which I don't think he really took a good shot there at that time from Ira McMillan, but Sindorn got the 1st down, keeps the drive going for North Dakota State.
1st down situation for North Dakota State from the Gorillas' 13-yard line. Tony Satter and Marty C are the running back. Reverse option right there. It's off to Marty C., who's tripped up right there almost on the line of scrimmage by number 18, Jamie Goodson of the Gorillas.
Goodson made a good play that time. That's a reverse option by North Dakota State. And he got there just as the block was being thrown by Tony Satter that time, and Marty C. didn't have anywhere to go and made a good play that time by Goodson to stop that that run for a 2-yard loss.
This is one of the Pittsburgh natives playing on Pittsburgh State University's football team. That was a loss of actually 3 yards, so it's 2nd down and 13 for North Dakota State. Again, C and Satter in the backfield for the Bison. The handoff right here is going, Sindorn is going to elect to take it himself, where he finally run out of bounds there around the Pittsburgh State 10-yard line. Darrell Red making the stop.
Well, Goodson that time, number 18, was out there, and here we see Sindorn coming down the line of scrimmage, and sees Goodson coming up from his outside linebacker position, fakes the pitch and cuts inside of him, and Chris Sindorn did a good job getting what he could.
North Dakota State is 2 for 5 on their 3rd down conversions on the day. Right now they're looking at a 3rd down and a 6. Again, the fans on their feet. Sindorn under center with C and Satter in the backfield. Sindorn taking it left. He's going to come back across the ground. He's wrapped up right there by Jay DeFoya. The ball squirts loose, but it is ruled down. North Dakota State is now going to be faced with a 4th down and long situation. Now I have to think about maybe kicking a field goal.
I think you're right. Here comes the kicking team on, and Dave Bowden leads the charge. You see Sindorn coming to his left, and there's nothing there. Cuts back, and LaFoya was there, and or Tafoya rather. I'll get that down here. Yeah, he made a good play to chase Sindorn down and pull him down from behind. He's a heck of a linebacker.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's a junior college transfer, as a matter of fact, out of Dickie, Utah, and he's been playing well for the Gorillas all along. This is number 22, Dave Bouts, attempting the field goal for North Dakota State, and it is blocked. I believe that was Phil McCoy with his hands up there. Michael Rose picks up the ball, and the Gorillas avoid another score by the North Dakota State Bison. These defensive ends can get up there in the air for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas, and I might be wrong on who blocked that, but I could have sworn I see a big 95 sticking through there.
Looks like 96. Here we see Bowden kick from the backside. 96 goes up in the air and gets his
Troy Wilson comes through.
Troy Wilson.
Well, I was right on the defensive end situation anyway.
You were. That kick came out of there awful low, and Bowden's got to get that up in the air, else that's going to happen every time. A big defensive stand for Pitt State that time.
Troy has a habit of just sitting back there and kind of bowling them to sleep, not really making it look like he's going to attempt to make any kind of a block situation at all. And then his vertical leaping ability is just incredible. He, of course, runs track for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas, and that helps him out quite a bit. That's Ron West in motion. The give is right up the middle to Kelly Lawson, his first carry of the game, and he goes for 5 yards. The Gorillas now have the ball on the 35-yard line of their own 35-yard line.
You see Kelly Lawson's statistics for 1990, 111 rushes for 642 yards. And that's one of the things about Pittsburgh State is their balance. We've got Dawson with 1,279, Moore with 1,167, and Lawson with 642 yards on the year. They've got great balance.
The firm of Lawson, Dawson, and Moore. Right now it's Moore and Lawson in the backfield for the Gorillas. The give, of course, this is Patton. He's going to elect to take this up. He's got the first down and 20 more, about a gain of about 8 yards for the Gorillas. He is almost in the North Dakota State field position right now. It's at the Pittsburgh State 48-yard line. A nice read there by Jay just to elect to go ahead with the ball.
Pat fakes inside and comes down the line of scrimmage. There's no option. There's no pitch there, and he just gets what he can. And Pat Pringle pushes him out of yards. Out of bounds. And that's his 5th rush for 16 yards on the day.
Nice downfield block from Jay right there. I know Jody Truitt back there doing a good job. Gorillas are going to stay with that double tight end formation with Truitt and Finamani on the end right there. That is Ron West wide right. Patton is under center. Again, Moore and Lawson. They will keep that backfield for the duration of this drive. The handoff is up to Ron Moore up the middle. He picked up a nice gain, about 5 to 6 yards. The Gorillas once again on the roll. That blocked field goal could very well be the changing point in this ballgame.
Well, it has changed the momentum back to Pittsburgh State. North Dakota State came out their first drive and put the ball in the end zone, but since then Pitt State has been able to come back and take a couple field goals, and they've got a little bit of momentum going for them right now. Paul Schaffner's into the ball game. 2 weeks ago, Darren. He went into the hospital for an emergency appendectomy. Here he is back 2 weeks later playing in this football game.
I heard about this guy coming in. I just cannot believe he's going to attempt to do that. Boy, I tell you what, North Dakota State defense was all over the place, and who do you suppose was in on that tackle right there?
Number 87, Paul Schaffner.
This guy was in the hospital 2 weeks ago, and he heard on television that he was out for the season. He said, no way. He decided to check himself out of the hospital. He was home that night, and he didn't play last week against Cal Poly, but he was in the game and made that stop right there. They refer to this guy as the wild man, and I think I understand why. There you hear the fans. The Gorillas have the ball on the North Dakota State 47-yard line. 3rd down and 5. Jay, it appears like he's going to have problems with noise, so let's just take a timeout. We are going to take a timeout right now with Pittsburgh State trailing the North Dakota State Bison 7-6. We are live from Dakota Field in Fargo, North Dakota, where the Pittsburgh State Gorillas are making a drive to take over the lead for the first time against the North Dakota State Bison. It's a 3rd down and 5 situation for the Gorillas from the Bison 47-yard line. Jay Patton elects to keep the ball himself. He's looking to throw it, and he hits Ron West over the middle for the first down, down to the North Dakota State 34-yard line. A big, big first down. That makes the Gorillas 3 of 5 in the 3rd down conversion category, and the Gorillas are on a roll.
Big play offensively. Here we see Jay Patton coming back and faking inside to Ron Moore. Steps back, and Ronnie West goes down the field, just stops and turns around. Great catch. Great catch. One hand, right, brings it back into his body, picks up the first down. Big play for Pitt State.
Jay Patton can rifle the ball. It is cold down there, folks. Can you imagine what that felt on that hand? And he was still able to pull it down and make the first down. Great play right there. Jay again holds on to the ball. He is upfield for a gain of 7 yards. The Gorillas are moving, and if they can get in the end zone here or even kick a field goal, they will have the lead. You know, at the beginning of this ball game, I was beginning to think it was going to be a case of whoever has the ball first is going to win, but the defenses are definitely taking over at this point.
That's right. The defenses have been playing very well. They've been giving up some yardage, but if it's in between the 20s, the coaches don't get too concerned about that, as long as they don't get in the end zone.
2nd down and 4 for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas from the Bison 27-yard line. Same backfield again as there was before the timeout. It's Jay Patton with Ron Moore and Kelly Lawson in the backfield. The reverse option. Jay again gets to give up the middle, and that's good for the first down, or it's close to it anyway. No, it should be for the first down, so the Gorillas are moving. They're on the 24-yard line of North Dakota State, and they probably want to measure it. In fact, they did. Nope, they're going to give it to them. First down for the Gorillas. We've got 5:48 to go in the first half. Pittsburgh State looking to take the lead for the first time in the contest.
Getting to be a big defensive series for North Dakota State. They've got to use their don't bend or don't break, bend but don't break philosophy on defense and come up with some big plays here.
You know, it's interesting how the Gorillas move their running backs in and out like that, but once they start a series with 2 running backs back there, they stay with those 2. Kelly Lawson, of course, the senior for the Gorillas. Nobody would like to see him capture a national championship more than Kelly Lawson. But boy, I tell you what, right there, Ron Moore is wrapped up at the line of scrimmage. I doubt if he picked up anything. In fact, I believe he lost about a yard.
Well, I was just talking about a big play, and there it was. Sean Stewart, number 51, the nose guard for North Dakota State, broke through the line of scrimmage and came in on Ron Moore and wrapped him up, and he had a little help to finish him off for the short loss.
Jay Patton, 34-2 as a starter. There are a lot of people out there that would love to have that kind of a success rate here. Again, Jay Patton under center with Boston and Moore in the backfield for the Gorillas. Ron West is split wide right. The handoff is to Moore up the middle. He's got running room. He's down to the 19-yard line for the Gorillas, down to North Dakota State's 19-yard line. That's a gain of about 6 yards. You're looking at about third down now and 5 yards to go for the Gorillas.
See the replay coming up, and it's just a good cut that time by Ron Moore. Tony Monty comes in to make the play after about a 5.5, 6-yard gain. And big play again for North Dakota State. Defense, Pittsburgh State offense.
We haven't seen Ron Moore yet punish anybody. I'm looking forward to this one because when Ron Moore puts his helmet down, there are very few people that are going to stop him. A third down, 5 situation for the Pittsburgh State Gorillas from the North Dakota State 19-yard line. Jay Patton is under center. He's got the snap right there, and he pitches it off just before he gets tackled. Ron Moore breaks upfield. He appears to be about a yard short of the first down again. I don't know. You're faced with a situation here of going for the field goal in the lead, or do you want to go ahead and risk it and pick up another first down?
I think they're going for the first down right here.
Well,
big decision time.
There's no question about that. They are going there. A quick huddle right here. If he'd have snapped the ball, he could have picked it up. Yes, it is. Aaron Dawson goes up the middle and picks it up.
Smart play that time by Pittsburgh State. Caught the Bison trying to switch people in and out. Took advantage of it. Got to the line of scrimmage in a hurry. Got the first down. You can see it here on the replay. And it's just Lawson just comes up. It's got the quick handoff. Cut inside. Got the first down. Brings it up first and 10.
That is Darren Dawson who made the run. Just when I said that they don't change the backs back there, I go and Chuck Royals makes me look silly. But, hey, this is first down, and I can look silly all I want if these guys are going to get in for the score. This is Jay Patton again, first down for the Gorillas. First and about 10. They can't pick up a first down without scoring. The give up the middle picks up only a few yards for the Gorillas, so it's time to sit back and think about it again. This North Dakota State defense, you can see how their mindset just totally changes when it gets close to the end zone.
You get down to the 10-yard line and they say, that's straight stand. We're not letting you in.
They use that quick huddle, by the way, quite often, and they do it very effectively. In fact, if Jay would have snapped the ball a little earlier, he would have gotten the player offside on North Dakota State. Patton takes the snap. He elects to go ahead and go back upfield. I'm not so sure if maybe he couldn't have taken that one outside because it looked like they had both of the running backs on the outside and a blocker to help get it into the end zone. That's a gain of only about 1, so it's third down and 6 for the Gorillas.
You can see Patton coming out here, and he just trips over one of his offensive linemen. That's number 73, Kendall Gammon, and just couldn't quite get over the top of him. Brought him down for the short gain, bringing up third down again.
Yes, sirree. We're having some fun now, aren't we? Third down. They're 3 of 5 in third down conversions. Again, it's Moore and Dawson in the backfield. Moore is split left. Here's the snap. Dawson, it's going to be the reverse. West is, oh my. I told you you'd be looking for number 90, and by golly, there he is, Phil Hansen. This guy has got scouts here watching him. He is definitely pro material.
Two of the best players on the field today, Ronnie West and Phil Hansen, number 90 for the Bison, going head-to-head, one-on-one. Phil Hansen won that one.
I was just beginning to think, why hadn't we heard Phil Hansen's number yet? And all of a sudden, there he is.
You see Pat giving the pitch back to Ronnie West, and there's Phil Hansen breaking down and just waiting for him. West had nowhere to go. Good play by the defense.
I don't know, but I wouldn't want to be Ron West to come across and see this guy looking at me. We're going to see a 30-yard field goal attempt here by James Jenkins. He has so far accounted for all of the Gorillas scoring. This one is up. And it is good. The Gorillas are on top by the score of 10-7 at North Dakota State, Fargo, North Dakota State. Excuse me, it's a 9-7 Pittsburgh State lead, but that's what it is. The Gorillas in front. We're going to take a break here and send it back to the Third field goal of the game has given the Gorillas a 9-7 lead with about a minute and 20 seconds to play in the first half. This caps off a 15-play drive that consumed 57 yards for the Gorillas, a 31-yard field goal for Jenkins, who really had some on this year. Going into the game, he had connected on 62 of 66 point-after touchdowns and 9 of 11 field goals as long as 38 yards. James Jenkins, again, proved to be a terribly improved player from a year ago, and now, obviously, the big offensive catalyst for the Gorillas. We're a minute 20 away from these guys making a 31 consecutive quarters and keeping the opponent from running for a touchdown.
Well, North Dakota State this year has kind of made it a business to score late in the first half, and we'll just have to wait and see what they come out, how they get on the return, and what they come out with offensively.
Again, they're kicking into about a 20-mile-an-hour wind. The kick is slow once again. It is going to go out of bounds. The Gorillas will get a penalty. That's really got to be more mental than it is anything else. When you're sitting there and you've got that wind blowing into your face like that, you know you got to kick it slow. And now, as it turns out, it's going to work out to be a 5-yard penalty against the Gorillas, so they'll have to get it out to the 30.
No, he's trying to play that way, but he's lining up to the right, toward the right hash mark, and trying to kick it across the field to the left and gaining as much field as he can, but that time it gets floated out of bounds.
Got Tony Satter back to return the kickoff. Far left the wing. See what the wind does to it again. And there's number 6 as well, Craig Guerin. He's their big receiver as well. And then number 30 for the North Dakota State Bison, that is Mark Hansen. Tony Satter's just a jack of all trades on this football team.
He really does a lot for this football team, but he returns kicks, he has returned punts, he does the punting, and he's an excellent running back. And he's even caught a few passes. They don't throw a lot to the running backs, but he has caught a few this year.
All right, well, it's set to try it again here. James Jenkins on the 30-yard line for the Gorillas, kicking off after Pitt State takes the lead 9-7 against the North Dakota State Bison. Satter doesn't get the ball. He's at the 40, and he's hauled down there by number 34 of the Gorillas. 46-yard line of North Dakota State.
Well, like I said before the kickoff, North Dakota State has kind of made it a habit to score right before the first half ends. And they did it last week on an interception return by Rob Greenwood, a 61-yard return. And they've done it previous weeks to that. We'll just see what they come out with offensively here. I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw the ball once within this drive.
Kevin Crane, West City Cardinal, making the stop on the kickoff return right there. The North Dakota State Bison R&D going to pass. That ball appears to have skipped. Indeed it has. So it goes as an incompletion. And now with a minute 9 to go, North Dakota State facing a second down and 10.
Well, that's North Dakota State's version of a drop-back pass.
That's as good as it's going to get.
That's about as good as it's going to get. That's not effective for them. They have to run that down-the-line option-type pass, the play-action pass to be effective.
Mark Hansen checked in with the play in the North Dakota State huddle right there. A minute 9 to go. Boy, I tell you what, this could be a crucial drive right here. And indeed, if he has to continue to attempt to pass like that, Pittsburgh State very capable of coming over with a turnover and still getting another score before him. Zimdorn gets the snap. He is going to pass. He throws it down to number 29 before he's shoved out of bounds by Darrell Wren.
Sean Cahill on the reception that time. And again, that time Zimdorn executed a lot better. You can see him pulling out of center, sprinting out to his offensive right, just takes a look, gets the steps right, hits Cahill right on the numbers. And the big thing there is Cahill got out of bounds, stopped the clock. There's also a little bit short of first down and then come over and measure, but he stopped the clock. They don't have to use the timeout.
Pittsburgh State defense, of course, has been on the field quite a bit. They both have. In fact, both of these teams, we knew coming in this was going to be a war, and I don't think we've seen anything less than that. In fact, we're only an hour into this ballgame, and as I imagine the way that you seem to run the ball, I thought we could get it done pretty quickly.
It'll be interesting to see the time of possession statistic at the end of the half. I think it's going to be fairly even. They've both been moving the ball fairly effectively, and the defenses have been coming up with big plays and stopping short of the end zone.
That play did go for a first down, and speaking of the half, we want to make sure everybody knows coming up during halftime today is a special halftime collision. The Pittsburgh Purple Dragons, Riverton Rams, and West City Cardinals. If you want to stay tuned, you don't want to miss that one. Okay, here we go. First down situation from the Gorillas' 43-yard line. Zimdorn decides to take it himself. He has the bit. That is Tony Satter on the outside, and he clips it for big yard. Darrell Wren finally breaking it, pulling it down from behind. I see Bill McCoy over there as well to help shove him out, but not before a big gain right there. That moves the ball down to the Pittsburgh State 25-yard line, and again he gets out of bounds, so the clock has stopped.
I'm not sure if he did get out of bounds. They were waving the clock, and they stopped it at the first down.
You're absolutely right.
Start it
Starting
again.
the clock now, so we're counting down 54, 53, 52, 50 seconds left in the half. Chris Sindor taking his time getting up to the center right there. Here's the snap. He gives it up the middle. That's Tony Satter getting the call, and the Gorillas defense shuts him down. I think you're going to have to see a timeout right here. In fact, we are, and we are going to see a timeout as well, with North Dakota State trailing Pittsburgh State University 9-7. 35 seconds to go in the first half with Pittsburgh State leading the North Dakota State Bison 9-7, but the Bison obviously are doing very well. Tony Satter especially, 9 rushes on the day so far for already 89 yards. But the big thing is only 1 touchdown for the North Dakota State Bison, and if the Gorillas can hold here, there's no question they go into the intermission very, very, very up. We have a little bit of a break in play here. Apparently they don't realize that we're out of the commercial yet. Here we go, 35 seconds to go.
I kind of watched for that down the line option pass throw over the middle to Guerin this time, number 6. Take a look at that one.
All right, we will. There's the pass. It's up the middle. Oh, almost gotten from behind by Shane DeFoya. Nevertheless, the Gorillas are able to pursue the quarterback well enough that he has to finally just throw it away. That was 95, I believe. Bill McCoy was the one pressuring the quarterback, but it could have been Shane DeFoya as well. Here's the replay right there. That is
DeFoya gets nicked inside and puts some pressure on from the inside, and Simdorn comes out and just has to throw it away. Had good coverage that time by Pittsburgh secondary. Nobody to throw to. Threw it away. I'm a little surprised that North Dakota State has gone to this rollout pass. It's not really characteristic of them. I'm a little surprised they aren't trying to keep it tighter to the line of scrimmage.
Well, I think you have to credit the Pittsburgh State defense for a lot of that. They are definitely making North Dakota State run some plays they do not want to have to run. It's Hansen and Satter in the backfield. Hansen in motion right now. Sindorn under center. He gets the ball. He is going to keep it before he pitches out there to Satter. A great block by Hansen. And Satter all the way down to the 4-yard line of the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. The clock is running. No, we're going to have it. Stop the clock in order to move the chains right here. So there's 21 seconds to go. The ball is at the 5-yard line. North Dakota State finally does call a timeout. We too will take a timeout with, we are going to keep it here. All right.
Let's take a look at that play here, Darren. You can see Simdorn comes down the line of scrimmage and options the defensive end, the outside linebacker. Satter sets up the block by Mark Hansen beautifully, and Hansen got into the legs of the defender, got him out of bounds. Here comes a good hit by number 2 right there.
That's Joel Thornton for the Gorillas making the stop right there. Pittsburgh State needs to keep these guys out of the end zone. There's 21 seconds to go. There were some great blocks downfield like that. Jamie Goodson cut down. He would have had a good beat on him, but it didn't turn out that way for Pittsburgh State. 21 seconds to play. We are seeing a barn burner here at North Dakota State. As expected, these two teams terribly even matched coming into the contest, and they're proving exactly why right now.
Well, one big stat that's kind of little not quite as obvious is North Dakota State has no timeouts left. They got 21 seconds left. They had to call one early in the game.
That's right.
And that could end up to be a critical situation here. Although with the new rules in college football, you can throw the ball into the turf and stop the clock. Maybe we'll have a Colorado. You get 5 down? Is that the way it works?
I don't know. Can they count here in Fargo?
I think they can. I think
going to be a first down and goal to go from the 4-yard line of the Pittsburgh State University. North Dakota State again with Hanson and Saturn in the backfield. Sindorn under center, and here we go. 21 seconds to play in the first half. Pittsburgh State leading North Dakota State 9-7. Sindorn gets the ball. He is stopped short of the goal line. No! He's able to move the ball in. Very upset down there. Pittsburgh State defense thinks they stopped it. The referee's given the score, though. So it is now 13-9. North Dakota State with 17 seconds to play. I definitely want to see the replay of this one because it did appear there for a while. He had stopped short of the goal line.
You see Sindorn coming down the line of scrimmage. Marty see it gone in motion, fakes up inside, cuts inside. There's Ira McMillan, and Sindorn just sticks the ball across the line of scrimmage. That's all it takes, folks. He just has to break that play, and that's a touchdown.
All right, this is Bowden in to attempt the extra point to put North Dakota State up by the score of 14-9. It is up, and it is good, and that is the score.
Let's take another look at that play, Darren. You see Sindorn a tight shot here, and he's coming down the line of scrimmage. Mark Hansen comes up, fills the hole, and hits LaFoya. And here's the ball. Sindorn sticks it right across the goal line. Good heads-up play. We can look at it again. Just watch his right arm. Watch the ball come out of the middle there and puts it right on the goal line. Touchdown.
That is a very, very heads-up play there by North Dakota State, but is it knee down? Is the play dead there?
It's supposed to be, but that's pretty tough for an official.
Well, you also have to look at where the ball is, and obviously they do have a better angle on it as far as the goal line is concerned. Perhaps the ball was over the goal line by the time it came.
The other thing sorry, Darren, the other thing I saw there was Ira McMillan's hand was all over his face mask, too. So I guess things work that way. You get in the middle, and that's the way it goes.
When you're on the 1-inch line, what are you going to get penalized on that one?
The thing about it is if they had called it down, they would have stopped the clock.
Right, exactly. 14-9, North Dakota State leading Pittsburgh State University. We are going to keep it right here with 17 seconds to go in the first half. The Gorillas definitely facing a dogfight. One of the toughest teams they'll ever face. Without question, probably one of the toughest teams that Pittsburgh State has ever faced in the history of its illustrious football.
Well, North Dakota State here has to be heads up on this kickoff return. I'm not sure what T.R. McDonald or Rocky Hager on the sideline has called as far as this kickoff. Probably a squib kick unless McDonald can get it out of the end zone, but I think they're going to squib it down the middle.
That's exactly what they do. The ball goes to Ron Moore. He gets the ball. Ron Moore very capable of running it back. In fact, he gets it up through the middle. He is still on his feet. If he gets a block or two, he could go all the way. Ron Moore is breaking it loose down the left sideline. There are no flags on the field. It is a touchdown for Pittsburgh State University with 3 seconds to go in the first half.
Unbelievable. The Bison had him stopped, and Moore just with guts and determination bounced outside and broke it for the big one.
Oh my, oh my. The fans that have made the trek up from North Dakota State are having a ball. He actually didn't even field it very cleanly, but when he hit the middle, again, Ron is so hard to pull down that he was able to break it back outside. He was also able to pick up a key block as he went downfield, and it resulted in a touchdown for Pittsburgh State, which now wants to take a timeout to think about this one.
Let's take another look at that kickoff return. Here we see Moore. The ball bouncing down to him. Good kickoff. He doesn't field it real clean. Tucks it away. Starts to the middle. Takes a hit right here from number 76 a little bit, and there's where he should have been stopped. Chris Straub was in there, a bunch of other guys, and he just bounces outside, and there's the block right there,
Mr.
Ronnie West.
I tell you what, this guy with sheer speed will get you a long way in college football. Ron Moore, of course, had that 80-yard run against Missouri Southern, and he said he heard footsteps coming up behind him, and he's thinking, no way somebody's able to run it down. He turns around, there's Ron West, the only guy able to track it down. What an awesome way for this half to end for Pittsburgh State University. You really, really have to be thinking what's going on down now on the North Dakota State sideline, where they were thinking they'd be going into intermission up. They indeed could very well be facing a 3-point deficit. I'm sure that is exactly what Coach Jerry Till and his offensive unit is talking about right now. They are indeed going for 2. Jay Patton taking the field. It appears he's got Darren Dawson and Ron Moore that'll be with him in the backfield, and you already see where Ron West is right now. These guys are very intent on getting this one. Again, Pittsburgh State, they call it the Y double cross. It's the play. Watch for a tight end splitting across the middle. Sometimes he gets screen, or there's enough of a screen there that it goes for an easy 2 points. We shall see. Patton gets the snap. He is looking back. He is being pressured there by number 97, Jay. Finally puts it up. Oh, and it's just out of the reach of Brian Benamonte. Almost pulled down, but with 3 seconds to go in the first half, Pittsburgh State has regained the lead and now leads by the score of 15-14. We will, as you can hear, for the remainder of this half. Boy, what a turnaround.
Amazing. And we're not out of here yet. There's 3 seconds left on that clock. Tony Satter back there for North Dakota State can do somewhat of that same thing. And you just got to give Ron Moore a lot of credit on that play. Just to break out of that middle and come out of there and show some good speed. Because Tommy Johnson, who was chasing him down, is not one of the slower backs in the defensive backs on North Dakota State's team. He's got some good speed, and I thought he had the angle, but just couldn't quite catch it.
Well, he ran it into the end zone, but it doesn't go down as a rushing touchdown, does it?
That's true, it doesn't. So the streak is still alive.
We're still counting down that streak, aren't we? Okay, we're going to have 3 seconds here. You got to know that James Jenkins isn't going to do anything fancy with it. He'll put it down on the ground. No question, North Dakota State has to have some of their more sure-handed receivers there to receive the ball. And indeed, if they do get it, it's not going to have a whole heck of a lot of time left to do anything with it.
Well, the thing they got to do is, they don't have any timeouts, but they get the ball. If they feel it drop down, the clock won't start. But I think what they want to do is they want to try and get it in Tony Satter's hands back there and let him try and make some moves and possibly break one for the Bison side.
If they can do it, anybody can.
Well, he's got the capabilities back there. He's done it several times this year, so he doesn't have quite the speed that Ron Moore does, but he's got some pretty shifty moves that we've seen so far today in the first half.
I saw some video last week of last week's victory over Cal Poly where the ball was actually fumbled just behind the line of scrimmage. He was able to recover it and turn it into about an 80-yard gain, 60-yard gain, something like that. James Jenkins is going to kick it off, and he is going to get it into the air. That is Tony Satter with the reception. Here we go, folks. The last play of the first half. Satter is brought down, almost fumbles the ball, and we have halftime at Dacotah Field in Fargo, North Dakota, where the Pittsburgh State Gorillas, ranked number 3 in the country, lead the top-ranked North Dakota State Bison in a battle of 12-0 ball teams, 15-14 at intermission. We'll be back with that special halftime salute to Pittsburgh, Riverton, and West City High School football program right after this. Are we having fun yet here at Dacotah Field in Fargo, North Dakota? What a ball game. And if the next 30 minutes turns out to be anything at all like the first half, oh boy, are we in for a contest. You know what, though? The entire four-state region has been blessed with tremendous football all throughout the entire fall. Not only some of the teams that were able to go on and capture state championships and go on to state championship games, but there were outstanding performances being played out on the high school gridirons every single Friday night this season. There were 3 teams, though, that did make it to state championship games. Pittsburgh High School, the 5A state champion in Kansas, the 3A Kansas state champion, Riverton Rams, and, of course, the Webb City Cardinals, the runner-up in Missouri 4A. So we are going to now take a little time to reflect back on those great seasons by those 3 ball teams, and we're going to let the coaches tell you all about it.
open up the season here at Dakota Field. I got to commend the Gorillas. They have played some excellent football. They haven't scored a touchdown on offense yet, but they blocked an extra. They blocked a field goal attempt. They took it down the field. They chipped away at that lead. They got 3 field goals. They came right back and got a big return on a kickoff for a touchdown. The thing that impresses me so much about Ronnie Moore is that he gets yards after contact. He's a hard driving running back. You saw the speed he had when he broke away. The Bison have broken down in special teams today, and right now it's cost them the football game. You know, I played this week with Coach David yesterday one of the times before they practiced, and I pointed out to him about special teams. I mean, he really didn't really put a whole lot of emphasis in the kids here. I understood that to be his kickers per se. As far as special teams, you've got to give it to the special teams part. I tell you, the Bison have never put money in a kicker either. They don't recruit or scholarship a place kicker or a punter. They just expect that they're going to get good enough athletes in the program where they're going to find somebody to get the job done. And in a ball game like this, it should come back to haunt them. I'm really impressed with the offensive line of Pittsburgh State. They come off the ball low, they hit well, they keep their pads, they keep their legs driving. And I think the strength of these football teams are in the offensive line, and it should come down to whoever has the ball last is going to win this football game. Very well. Hey, thanks for stopping by and listening to the Buck the rest of the team. We're going to do it. Aaron, glad to have any good pitches down there in your territory? All right, you got it up here. Glad to see all you folks there. Okay, thanks a lot. Hey, we're going to take a break right here and take a look at a couple of first half highlights. Go over the first half of this week, right?
Welcome back to Dakota Field in Fargo, North Dakota. Before we go any further, let's take a quick look at the first half highlights. Not a lot of scoring going on until the very last few seconds of the first half. You see there Chris Sindorn going in for Fargo, North Dakota to put the Bison up by the score of 14-9 at the time. And boy, was it an interesting one after that, Mark.
He came back after that. Sindorn did a good effort, made a great effort getting into the end zone, getting the ball across the goal line to get the score. And here we come back on the ensuing kickoff. Ronnie Moore takes the kick, the squib kick, bounces up into him, comes into the middle, and the Bison, I thought they had him stopped, and Moore had great leg drive, bounces to the outside, and just takes it down the left sideline all the way for the touchdown. Puts Pittsburgh State back up in front, 15-14.
That score by Sindorn came with 17 seconds to play in the first half. Ronnie Moore's 80-yard kickoff return for a touchdown came with 3 seconds to go in the half. So 14 seconds separated those two scores. We waited the entire half to see it. We did. It's going to be a good one. Let's take a look at some of the first half stats. You see North Dakota State is really leading the Gorillas in rushing by the score or by the team of 169 and 73 yards. The yards passing are actually the Gorillas after that. North Dakota State 33 yards, Pittsburgh 76. And then in total yards, you see North Dakota State has about a 40-point advantage right there, but big one's on the board.
Well, that's right. It's been a big first half for Pittsburgh State on the special teams. Penalties really haven't played much part in this game, Darren. Most teams have 2 penalties for 10 yards on the day, and so far on the day, no turnovers.
That's right. Now, Pittsburgh State coming in really thought that they had all those turnovers last week against Kentucky State. The Gorillas have had the ball for about 2.5 minutes left is what North Dakota State had. These two teams are talking about coming in, and I know I'm harping on this, but we said how evenly matched they are. And I think the scoreboard reflects that entirely right there. This is just an incredible game. These are college football teams. I'm sorry, but they may not be Division I, but this is as good as you're going to see on any level.
Oh, that's about right. And we talked about the yards rushing. Go to a couple of individual statistics. For North Dakota State, Tony Satter on the day has rushed the ball 10 times for 106 yards on the day. And Ron Moore for Pittsburgh State has carried the ball 8 times for 29 yards. So North Dakota State's defense so far has been able to stop the rushing game of Pittsburgh State, but it's their special teams like Ed touchdown at halftime. It's been the special teams that have broken down a little bit for North Dakota State, the blocked field goal, and that last kickoff return for the touchdown by Ronnie Moore.
Pittsburgh State, of course, has never advanced to the championship game in the history of this 5-year winning streak that they put together during the regular season. Of course, they do have a couple of national NAIA titles to their credit back in 57 and 61, a runner-up finish in the early 80s, but this would be great for the Gorillas to get their second year of NCAA Division II competition going by making it to Florence, Alabama to take on Indiana, Pennsylvania next Saturday or in the championship ballgame.
Well, North Dakota State missed the final last year for the first time in quite a few years, and they want to get back there.
All right, here is the second half. This is to Ron West. He's in the end zone. Ron very seldom decides to put a knee down. He is out, and he's out to the 22-yard line of the North Dakota State Bison. There's a lot of hitting going on out there, and there's a touchdown again during that halftime. There's a lot of hard hitting.
There's a lot of hard hitting, but it's clean. It's good, clean football. You don't see any stiffness. You don't see the guys dancing back and forth, which is good. And there hasn't been any major penalties. Sounds like the other kids are good at not playing hard. And that's what you like to see. Like good, clean, hard-fought football.
This is exactly why the Gorillas decided to defer the kickoff until the second half, because they put a touchdown on the board now. It would really, really put them up big. This is Darren Dawson with the carry. A gain of about 3 yards. And folks, you can tell exactly what the fans here are thinking. They need to have their team come out on top. There's a lot of pressure on the MCSU football players to win up here.
Oh, there really is. These fans are not, sometimes not the most friendly fans in the world. They take their football seriously. They're all good students of the game. They understand the game, and they like their football team. They like to see them win.
I tell you what, Mark, they may not be friendly football fans, but they really have been friendly people all the way around since I've been up here. I've had a great time. This is Jay Patton. That's the handoff there to Darren Dawson again. Boys, he's stacked up and listen to the crowd. There was a whole slew of tacklers in on that one. I'm not even going to try to tear that one apart, but I think you can look at your outside linebacker.
Well, Phil Hansen that time came through from the defensive tackle spot and forced the running back Dawson to bounce a little bit outside. He got all kinds of help from his friends.
Third down and 9 from the Gorillas, or from the Gorillas' 22-yard line. This is where Ron West comes in big. He doesn't have to catch the ball, but a lot of times the defender is whistling for pass interference. It is shuffle off the West over the middle, and he's almost to the first down, but it appears he is going to come up at least a yard short. That was a pretty interesting call right there.
Little wrinkle here. We can see it on the replay. Pass drops back and forth, or West rather, comes down the line inside, and then takes a little kick pass and makes a nice run. Tries to whip it, and it stops it short of first down, but that's fourth down. All right, now you got a possibility to win. You got to do like that. So I don't see how it's really possible to go on fourth down.
They are indeed about a football length short. As Brian Hutchins comes on
Joel Thornton came up from the quarterback position, made a good tackle on Skindorf coming out of the center again, down the line type option, makes into the line, cuts up, here comes Thornton, puts the tackle on him. Good game for the Bison, but a good play by Thornton that time to come up and stop him short of the first down.
First down and 3 for North Dakota State. Definitely time for a big play. We haven't seen a turnover yet. Pittsburgh State would love to have one here. Skindorf under center. Yeah, back up the middle again. That's Marty C. and he does have the first down.
Depending on the spot.
No, yeah, they're now saying that maybe it gives you a couple inches short.
Definitely to go with what he goes by, the old right foot, left foot spot. John Madden stayed in mind. In the right foot or a left foot spot.
I can tell by the reaction from the crowd that he was stopped a little short.
Well, I don't think the crowd's actually got a very good mark at that ball. See what they are on the measurement here.
They are reaching on
Pittsburgh's positional question here regarding the yes, they never make that a good question.
It is indeed about a football range short, so Pittsburgh State, I think nothing about that yet, but this is it, boy, right here.
The big one right here.
They are going to go for it. No question about that. He's going his stepping the offensive set right now with his ball team. He's got Setter in the backfield along with Marty C.
And again, we talked in the first half, I mentioned that the Bison have short yardage, go for it, he looks to go outside the tackle, he's not going to do it, not going to go up the middle, probably to the right side here toward Dan Gettle.
This is the Wayne battle on the line right here. That's the big two right here. Here we go. There's the snap. Skindorf making it himself. That was Ira McMillan on the stop for the Gorillas. A big first down for North Dakota State.
Well, chances are, you can see it here, Skindorf comes down the line, Dan Gettle just steals his man inside. If he can run that back, you can see Dan Gettle block, and check that out, here we go. Dan Gettle, number 84, coming down to the inside, right, no, you can't quite see him. Scattered, and Skindorf cuts out and gets his first down.
That's the live action. He's got to go on the center. Here he's taking himself. And this time, sitting on him once again. Awesome run there by Mr. Skindorf.
Chris Skindorf is fired up here. You can tell that. Aaron, I mentioned to you that Skindorf is more of a finesse runner. You can see him there showing some of his power. He's coming down the line. It doesn't look like he's got anything. And you can see he's moving. There's LaFoy at the end of that, but not speed enough. Too far downfield to pick up good yardage.
DCS and DCS is bringing you the Heisman Trophy presentation later on this season. Later demonstrating the history of that right here. Chris Skindorf. Here we go. First down, second down rather. 1 to go for the Bison from the Gorillas 4-yard line. That's a big penalty right there. A little movement on the offensive line to bring you that side there.
Dave Marion, the right tackle from North Dakota State, angle to go. He wanted to get out and hit somebody, because he had to wait till the ball was snapped.
Nice job by the Gorillas defense for Pittsburgh State. Thanks to Brad Conrad, who of course was a member of the 1961 DII and FCS. Step back and talk about all kinds of fun things. They tell you what, he's awful proud of him as well as the rest of the boys. He also, by the way, say hi to his wife after Pittsburgh. This is not the first ball game he's been by in a long time, so I'm glad that we're able to bring it back to where here we go now. Second down and 6 so North Dakota State to the 10-yard line. That was an awesome stop right there at the line of scrimmage. And now it is definitely pushing to the we got a third down and about a 5-minute play for North Dakota State.
Good job that time by Pittsburgh State defense to stop that dive play. He was tied to the 70s. Came in from the defensive tackle spot, grabbed Marty by the legs, and just wouldn't let it go. Big play right here for North Dakota State's offense. They're down at about 5.
I mentioned James Jenkins, one of the more improved players on the Pittsburgh State ball team. Ty Tiger also moving that backboard. The Gorillas definitely outstanding this year. Here we go. Third down and 4 from the Gorillas 9-yard line, 8-yard line. Johnson sent down the quarterback, and that's what happened. Oh, the pick! It's out of bounds, but oh boy, what a way to pick up a first down.
Well, when things go right, they go right. Chris Skindorf made a play that time. And just an excellent play. Just down the line. That's right. There's no way to stop that play for short yardage other than just right for somebody to have penetration come in from underneath the crook ankle. Otherwise, Zero can't do it. Even though we're playing in college, that's feeling that he's going to make things happen right there. Here we can see it coming down the line of scrimmage, and he just cuts inside and finds the speed, puts his head down, like I said. Unless you guess right, something happens, and you're there, you're not going to stop that play for a lot of yards. They're definitely going to be going for a 2-point conversion now. So it's 57.6 scoreboard. Looks like they're having a little problem with it. They're going to take a timeout. So we'll take a timeout as well. We'll be right back with the Bison leading the Gorillas 1-15. We were just talking during the break here about how it seems to have gotten a little colder here in Fargo, and after that score, I think it definitely got colder for the Big State fans here in the game. Still a beautiful day, though, for December 1st here in Fargo, North Dakota. Like I said before the game, we could have snowbanks and 6 feet high by this time, but fortunately, weather's been cooperating. Okay, here we go, the 2-point conversion. We got Ian Satter in the backfield. Gorillas defense coach is going to somebody to get back. This is going to be a tough one to stop. 2 points for the North Dakota State Bison. Now lead by the score of 42-15. That's a big score right there. No question. It's a big score right there. Puts the Bison back up by 7 points, which is a touchdown and an extra point kick for the tie. 2 points to go ahead for Pittsburgh State. All right, we're going to stop here with a break in the action with the score. North Dakota State leading Pittsburgh State 22-15. Okay, here we go. 7-10 play in the third quarter. The Bison just taking a 22-15 lead over the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. Bowden's kick, it looked like he got under the ball quite a bit. Darrell Wren, he also has game-breaking speed. He picks up the reception and gets it back to about the 28-yard line of the North Dakota State Bison. Well, that last scoring drive by North Dakota State was 57 yards, 11 plays, 15 going on a 1-yard touchdown run. 5 minutes, 15 seconds off the clock. Put the Bison back in the lead. And the big play on that, after that touchdown was the extra point. And I saw Martin come out and did a great block on the linebacker Poya, James Poya, to break that one open. Look for the Gorillas to take Dakota here on this play. No, they don't. look at it here, Jared. Dawson comes in, and who is that? I couldn't quite catch the number. Number 90, Phil Hansen, made the penetration, made the play, held him up long enough, got a lot of help from the other players on the team.
Hansen, industrial freak, Martin, has been invited to play in the Fleet Brave Bowl, and the seniors can play in this. He's also going to play in a couple of other senior bowls. Here's the pass I talked about. Looks like Pat's looking to throw the ball, and he's got Jody Truitt, or rather, it's got Brian Pinamani, but the ball was caught out of bounds, so it goes for not.
It looked like that time that he stepped out of bounds on that play. Here we can look at it. Patton comes down, fakes to his right, looking back to his left. He was looking for Ronnie West. Ronnie West had excellent coverage. Comes over here, Phil Hansen in his face, lofts it over.
This is Pinamani. Oh, boy.
Out of bounds. Out of bounds.
Looks like he might have bobbled the ball when he hit it, or hit the ground.
I think what happened, though, Darren, is he stepped out of bounds before he got to the ball. And that's what the call was.
And they're on their feet again here at Dakota Field in Fargo, North Dakota. The Gorillas looking at a 3rd down and 10 from North Dakota, from their own 28-yard line. Patton again looking to throw. Ron West breaks free. This could go all the way. West is open. He's at the 30, the 20, the 10. Ron West scores to give the Gorillas back in the ball game. I saw him break free down there. As soon as it happened, you know he was gone. There was nothing. There aren't very many people on any ball team in the country that can catch this guy.
Well, they say that he's got about 4.4, 4.3 speed. We can look here at Patton coming out. He's faking in on the crossing play. Just steps up. I thought they had good coverage, and West just breaks free, gets it over the hands of Rob Stewart. Nobody there. Tommy Adams, he's got Stewart. Ronnie West inside the
Good play. That's the type of pass. We saw at the end of the first half that they were running that spin-out pass. They got to run that down the line off the ball. That means for the Gorillas, let's say the boy of the shot. We're going to take a break right now. We'll come back. We hope to know a little more about it. The game is tied, 22-22. As you can see from this little graphic here, North Dakota State 307 to PSU 229 yards on the offense. Good news for Gorillas and the boy is getting on off the field on his own power. He does have to sit out this play, but I'll bet him run and he'll be right back in. Again, back up the middle again. Marty G with the carry. And boy, it just appears that this ball game is toughest when they got this first carry. Definitely have to get down. You can't take more than one shot. Here we can see it. Midorn comes back. And this answer to Marty G. Let's just get this way. You can see that Marty G has both hands covering the ball. This year, Marty G has only fumbled the ball 4 times. The number of carries he's had all year. 2 of those were last week, and 2 were, I think, against Morningside College earlier this year. So he is a very sure-handed running back. All right, here we go. Second down. He's going to get a first down without getting in the end zone. But he's going to quite a bit for this carry. He got it. Play. Up the center, and that's Joel Thornton making the stop. Great play that time. The number 3, Joel Thornton, come up to the quarterback and make the play. that one up. Well, that's one of the most effective things about that squid kick. You know, the ball's not round, it's oblong, so it doesn't, you don't know where it's going to bounce. It can bounce anywhere. And West did a good job that time of covering up the ball. And that last Bison drive, by the way, was 10 plays, 57 yards, and about 20 feet on the field goal. Used 5 minutes and 32 seconds off the clock. There are 9,000 North Dakota State Bison fans. There's about 8,800 about 11. Take the pass ball. No, that's right. That's outside. He picks up a nice and almost 2 yards again. Let's go to the first down. But that wasn't play was wrong. He got supposed to get killed. body and problems, so bear with us on this one, folks. That's going to happen when we close the ball game. We're going to try this and we're going to get the ball game. We've got 11:23 to play. Pittsburgh State now up by the score of 28-25. The extra point is being made by James Sanders. The ball is down, the kick is up, and it flips the upright for the extra point. So the Gorillas now lead with a breaking action 29-25. Welcome back to Dacotah Field in Fargo, North Dakota, where the Pittsburgh State Gorillas just jumped up on a 29-25 lead. Again, we are experiencing a little bit of problems with their audio. In fact, we had taken care of my buddy Mark Phillips' microphone, so I'm going to take it from there to solve the problem. So let me tell you, we've got to get this pass now. How about that pass that they had for Ron West? He went for 13 yards into the Gorillas score. They went for a entire drive into the 15 yards on 10 plays towards the midway. Penalty on the first foot, trying to get the ball out of bounds on the sideline. About ready to kick the ball off here. Sort of good. It's a little bit of problem with the timeout. So here's the fans starting to stand there. Quite frankly, the way my feet are frozen right now, I can't see why anybody would want to. Mark is going to the only way to keep the feet warm and keep the service. They're trying to pump some blood back in there. Temperatures dropped down to about 15 degrees now, but the team's going fine for the Gorillas right now. James Sanders quick into Pregame at the 5-yard line. He steals the Cleveland. And he takes it up the middle. He's got some blockers out there. He evades one. Finally brought down. So, North Dakota State will take over on their own, on the Gorillas, on their own 30 to 26-yard line. Pittsburgh State defense again having to come through now. St. Foyer here going to get after Jerry. They will still be able to on the fence there by one of the seniors. Richardson has been really bothered by a bad back. And actually, he's got the right away. Aggravated that one at the top of his hand. Okay, here we go. 11-14 to play. It's the first down. North Dakota State keeps on. Hands it off up the middle to Marcus King. He picks up a nice thing at 5 yards to North Dakota State right. North Dakota State has been averaging 6.2 yards on their first down play. They're going to form on that one right there. So maybe with that decision offense, to be able to have that much yardage on the first play, definitely open stuff. They're able to run the shot. North Dakota State with the ball, 10:42 to play in the ball game. Second down and 5 for North Dakota State. Dickelman hands off with his catch. You have to take the quarterback, and that opens up the field right there. He's out of bounds. Ira McMillan on the stop. First gunning on the carry right there. We gave it the first down for North Dakota State by the play. Here's the block here. First had to stay on the quarterback. They had to see it up. We saw the first contact made by Joel Morton. First down and 10. Will it come down to grab ball last? For the last 10 minutes, 30 seconds of this ball game without running the other one. Good going. Under center. Here's the outside. Tony Sutter. He's been having a field day all day. And he's able to break through another couple of rookie tackles for about 8 yards. Finally dragged down by Ira McMillan. take it himself, and up from the free safety position again. Ira Miller coming through the stop on the 50-yard line. That's going to be just for the first down. Replay right here. He's doing just does a great job of giving it up himself. This is Ira Miller. Now, Ira's really going to have to become a big player, especially if he's going to start taking the game in his own hands. Ira's position is when the Bison will let you run the football first, you come up with the responsibility here is the quarterback. First down and 10 for the North Dakota State Bison. The ball on the 50-yard line, and they're under 10 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. The dump over the middle, and it goes for about a 50-yard gain now, down to the 35 of the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. Pass made by Star McDonald of the North Dakota State Bison. Marcus mentioned a little while ago about how he's thrown the football a couple of times. They don't back in that confidence. Now it's going to be pass. First Bison takes McDonald with a nice catch, and also a nice run up right up the middle, finally dragged down there by Eric Thomas. Mikey Gilbert also involved in the stop for the Gorillas. A 5-yard gain for the Bison. They are on the move again. 29-25, Pittsburgh State University leading the number one. Got Royals with John going up to the middle for the Gorillas. Second down and 4. North Dakota State. 29-yard line. Holds on to the ball, takes it upfield, and gets the first down. 8 minutes and 8 seconds to play for the NCAA Division II semifinal game. That's giving the North Dakota State Bison the first down. Regardless of the outcome of this ball game, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas will play this contest. This Pittsburgh, that's the Harlan Hill State Tournament, we'll find out Saturday. Morris, Alabama. This one ends off right up the middle of the 27 was wrapped up by the Pittsburgh State defense. A team of about 3 on the play. There's another gorilla down on the field. Looks like there's nothing to do with the problem. Here's the play right here. Give up the middle. Pittsburgh State able to control that first and 2. He's looking for some kind of a street pass or something along that. The North Dakota State Bison get it. They're not even in the playbook. These guys just run and then they no pass. Obviously, they want to get that. Second down and 8. The Gorillas 22. Keep going. Looking to take it himself. Cuts it back up the middle and gain of another 5 yards. It's going to be a third down and about 3 for North Dakota State. State's top 5 Leonard Scott for the Gorillas. That's 3 yards. That's Big Phil McCoy, number 95. Takes the ball game. Everybody needs to pick it up a notch now. North Dakota State getting to the line a little sooner, a little quicker this particular drive. They still got 15 seconds to go on the play clock. They're down and 2 again. The fans on the Dakota field. He's going calling out the bottom. Matthew back. He's going cuts it back up the middle. And this is going to be interesting. I believe he did pick up the first down out of it. Good. 6.5 minutes to go with the ball from the going. Making the ring, starting to go ahead and just cut it back upfield. He only needed a few yards and he got the blood on his face. That's John Madden shooting right this one. It's touching his elbow right there. This is definitely brutal by him. As Rick pointed out, this is definitely a picture of all this we're talking about. That's it. First down and 10, the ball on the Gorillas 12-yard line. There's about 6 minutes and 20 seconds to play in the semifinal showdown. This orange gets the give. He heads the give over the middle. He found very little yardage on the game. About 2 yards. Let's see what the Gorillas can do about holding the rest of the touchdown back. North Dakota State score a touchdown to take the lead. about 5 minutes, 6 minutes to go to the ball game. This is a good one, folks. You're going to check in with Coach Hager on what he has played in the season. Second down and 8. Ball on the Guerrillas 10-yard line. Fourth quarter of play. Good going. Almost cut down. The nice move right there. And the block downfield enabled Tony Sutter to find himself. And that's great. Tony Sutter. And he goes in once again there. It was a great block. First down. Stop this one. Back the ball up the field. It's good. So, North Dakota State has taken a 30-29 lead with 5 minutes and 22 seconds to go in the ball game. We'll be right back after this. North Dakota State has just taken a 3-point lead on the Pittsburgh Guerrillas with 5.2 to play. The drive covering 74 yards on 12 plays, batter going into the 10-yard out. Here's the kickoff. Here's back to Ron West. He takes a couple of bounces. West fields it on the 10-yard line, and it's right back up the middle. A nice return for Ron West, getting it back to the Guerrillas' 39-yard line. Pittsburgh State, of course, ranks at the top of the nation in scoring all season long. That's over 40 points a ball game. Another touchdown to go up on top. It's still high as ball game with a field goal. So he's already had 3 of those incredibly confident. But as you can tell, the home field advantage is taking another factor. The players on the team carrying the Bison on. Here's Hatton under center. They've got James Dawson and Ronald Moore in the backfield. Hatton takes the pitch, hands it off to Moore, and is able to pick up about 4 yards before being taken down by the North Dakota State. All the way around. So perfect confidence on both sides of the field. We're under 5 minutes to go. Again. The Guerrillas are now looking for second down and 6 yards. Pass already with 190-yard passes. Will he go to Ron West again? He does. It's nice blocking downfield. Ronald Moore. Darren Dawson able to pick up about 3 yards before being cut down. Stopped by number 7, Ken Clark. Down to the end of on that touchdown pass. This is a nice block by Ron Moore. Ken Dawson off the field. He takes 2 yards off the play. Ken Dawson goes airborne. Picking up about 3 yards. Setting up a third down. And it's a tricky situation for North Dakota State. But for Pittsburgh State Guerrillas. They have a 4-down controversy. And second down on the clock. Pass takes the handoff. Oh, no, the pass is intercepted by number 92. Oh, my. That was Brian Smith. Gorillas have just not been able to shut him down all day. Going right into the last possible minute to push that side, and that's exactly what he does. Better and worse, doing another job on Irish Dillon. Taking out there and taking out the field for the good fight. The ball is now on the field sideline. Another nice hit right there. Again, the Gorillas having to defend that run, and it's almost down to the 7-yard line. That's good for another first down. It's just a mark. If the Gorillas are going to stop the Bison, they have to do it now. They have to also come up with another big block on a field goal attempt there and go that way. It's still second down for North Dakota State. That's Doyle calling the play. It's second down for North Dakota State. 9 yards to the going under center, there's the snap. He's taking himself to lose one tackle. Michael Rose tried to pull him down from behind, but he isn't going to work for it will work at it for the first down. So what's the table on the ball? Inside the Gorillas 10-yard line. There's a first down. Matter of fact, the ball is on the 5 right now. Once again, I want to apologize to our next audio difficulty, but the Bison lead by 4 Well, I thought we almost had Mark set up with another microphone. Pittsburgh State facing the same point deficit. They still need to use Pittsburgh State score and score quickly. And if you do this, you've got a non-West in Arsenal. But the Gorillas again have to score twice in order to get back to the ball game. The first play there to Ron West, who managed to get out of bounds by getting the 9 yards that made up 4 seconds on the clock. So, pretty obvious that they're still the offensive motion of the Gorillas on the team right now. Second, the Gorillas just pick up the first down here in the back only a second down and short. Very good. And a number of people think Ron West stopped and was going a little bit of pain. I mentioned earlier about how cold it was on the hands out there. You get hit or the ball in the hand with your hands like that, it doesn't feel like you get back to right now. Got a minute 57 to go in the ball. Second down and 1 for Pittsburgh State. Ron West over the middle. That's where he keeps the clock running. That was not a fumble. The ground caused that one. So they're not even going to call that a reception. All right, second down. There's the third down and 1 down. Still plenty of time to go in the ball game. Touchdown quickly. Onside kick. Really back in the ball game. 154 yards and 2 touchdowns for Ron West in the ball game. They had decided he wanted to see what he could do about coming up with a different play. They had put the timeout as we will do with a minute 50 to go. And North Dakota State leading Pittsburgh State 49-20. Talking it over with offensive coordinator Jerry Hill. The Gorillas are facing a third and 1 situation. They still have a very good chance of picking up the first down, even if they don't complete a pass here, so it's still a very good possibility that they go through. They pass this opportunity. They have Ron Moore and Dawson in the backfield. They go for the first down. Ron Moore has running room. He gets it back to the North Dakota State 45-yard line. The Pittsburgh State is in territory. The Gorillas are looking to keep things going quickly. They have to stop the clock here. They had 8 completions, 7 of them Ron West. Gorillas are lined up. I'm going to let you call this because that happens to Ron Moore. The offensive set on that. They should have only one player. Don't mistake like that. That was on third down. I guess they're going into the work and pulling out all the coaches guys. This time, no blocking at all. Entire offensive line is set up on the left side of the football. That was let's see what they can do on second down. We've got the one position set. We've got Dan Dawson on board the backfield. Ron West is to his wide right. West is open. He's going downfield. A little hook and roll. The dump pass is over the middle. Almost to stop. He's really the left field of the football right there. A great pass right there by 12. Number 9 is still running. Pittsburgh State now looking for the third down and 6 situation. Under 47 to go. North Dakota State will be doing a little bit. I think they were already in position to final outcome. The winner of this ball game will play in the National Championship this Saturday for the National Championship. The give is a draw up the middle. Ron Moore. It appears he slipped on the surface there. Goes for 6 yards and it sets up a 4th down situation for the Gorillas. Pittsburgh State will situation for the Gorillas. This is a good game to keep them right here. They need to get them. They had double line change. They got Ron West back. Gerald Dawson, Ronald Morgan back to a 4th down and 4, and the pass rush is on. It is over, and it is picked off. That did very well. Spelled it in the Gorillas and the 4th speed for North Dakota State. Pulled down by Ron Moore, but not until he gets to the 49-yard line of the Gorillas. Tony Martin, I'm sure, with the interception, that's big bailout against himself, and the minute more to play. North Dakota State is divided with 39-29 lead. The Gorillas just taking the timeout. The Gorillas, of course, spent the last 2 timeouts in that series, so they only have 1 more timeout to stop the clock. Not a success there by Monty. Of course, they're going for the pass over the sideline, but it's really too bad to play the game. So the team is just ugly. Huddling close to the pass ball to the inside. Good pass. And the clock going to the ball game. The entire Pittsburgh State career. 35 and 35 and 2 as best quarterback. About 35 seconds to play. The two people left in half. The last 12 and 1. Top 1. If they want to go down to the and they're beating that with their first game of the season. North Dakota State took care of Indiana, Pennsylvania, start the campaign. And they posted a victory without the starting quarterback, Chris Kendall, on his own. So that might give you an idea what you can expect from Saturday's game in North Alabama. It's now 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the ball game. That's the real game. 12 and 1 campaign. We're going to take a break here with the completion over, and North Dakota State Bison 39-39. That's the final.